Welcome back. You're watching Inside the News, and I'm Rowan Dean, and Peter will be back on Monday. But thank you so much for tuning in every evening this week. I have enjoyed your company as much, hopefully, as you have mine. There are reports in all of today's major newspapers outlining the Morrison government's $1 billion injection into the Great Barrier Reef. $1 billion. The money is apparently designed to be spent over 9 years and will go to improving water quality and working with land managers to remediate erosion and improve land conditions. Well, joining me now is Adjunct Fellow at the Institute of Public Affairs, and I urge you to follow his work and go to the Institute of Public Affairs website, which is ipa.org.au, Dr. Peter Ridd. Dr. Ridd, welcome to Inside the News. Great to see you. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well, Peter, let me ask you the question that last time I asked it got me into all sorts of hot water, so I may as well ask it again and get into more hot water. But anyway, is the Great Barrier Reef in danger?
No, it really isn't. And as I keep saying, I've been saying for the last 6 months, the latest statistics come out show that the reef is at record high levels of coral. So it's rather amazing that we're going to spend yet another $1 billion. But, you know, this is actually blackmail. It's the government is ending up being forced to pay protection money, not to protect the Great Barrier Reef, but to protect itself against UNESCO, which are going to write another report on the reef. And they need to pay this money. And the irony is that, of course, UNESCO is using pseudo-scientific evidence that's been produced by our own untrustworthy science organisation. So we're basically being beaten up by a club that we've paid for, and then we've been blackmailed. And of course, with blackmail, it never stops. It just keeps on going on and on forever.
Well, okay, so what you've said there is fascinating. Let's can you drill down into the reef? I don't think you can, but let's drill down into where this $1 billion is going to go to be injected into the reef. How do you spend $1 billion? We've already had $500 million from, I think, Malcolm Turnbull and Josh Frydenberg took up $400 million in a suitcase or something or other, some story like that from a couple of years ago. How do you spend the money?
Well, that's right. They did put $440 million. And one good thing about this latest announcement is that it appears that that money isn't going to go to this Great Barrier Reef Foundation, which was basically a bunch of extreme environmentalists who are spending $440 million. And some of it was spent on crazy stuff like, you know, they were going to make clouds to protect the reef from coral bleaching. This is going to be spent by the government. So at least the public will be able to put some pressure on the government if they do some really crazy things. And yes, a lot of money will be wasted. They're going to spend money supposedly to reduce sediment erosion. But that will be a waste too, because all my work over 30 years demonstrated that the sediment doesn't get out to the reef. You know, the Great Barrier Reef, 99% of the coral is 50 kilometres from the coast, and the runoff from land just never gets out there. So a lot of money will be wasted. Some of it will be used on some useful stuff, but it just goes on.
Well, I'm all in favour of jobs for Queensland, particularly far north Queensland. They were hit very hard by the insane policies during COVID, where lots of the tourism, entrepreneurs and businesses all lost their work. Will this, is this going to create jobs for those people in Queensland who need it? I guess that would be the cloud to the silver lining to the cloud, if you like.
No, it's not. The jobs are going to go to, another few thousand people whose whole life now will depend on the continuation of the myth that the Great Barrier Reef is in trouble. It will help in the sense that if we can head off UNESCO again and not have the Great Barrier Reef declared as endangered, it will do less damage to the reef, to the tourist industry, than if it is declared endangered. So from that point of view, you can completely understand why the government has been forced into doing it. But no, it's just going to be another few thousand people who are going to depend for their livelihoods on a myth, and that's a real problem for us.